Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Walt Disney World's Top 5. You guys all seem to like the last Top 5, where Christine and I went over the top 5 queues in Walt Disney World. So she is back again this week, and today we are taking a look at the top 5 resting spots in Walt Disney World, which was an idea submitted by M.W. Giannini. I'm going to say Giannini. I guess it's Giannini. That's what it's pronounced now. So welcome back, Christine.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Yes. So today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 resting spots. Now, for this one, I noticed like you stuck your list to the parks, but I kind of expanded into the world a little bit, so we're going to go around. But when we get to my list, you'll see I cheated in a number of ways. So whatever. Let's start with your number 5, which is here in Frontierland.
So this is the area that goes between Splash Mountain towards Big Thunder. You can walk off the main path through this little pathway. It goes next to the river. You can see the boat. It has some nice benches to relax on. And the reason why I really like this spot is I find that a lot of people like to congregate in that area where you can watch Splash come down. And that's cool, that's fun to do, but it gets really crowded over there. And it's funny that just like 5 feet away is this other little path where you can still see Splash and you can see, the riverboat coming around, but it's always so much quieter. And so I like that it kind of keeps you a little bit removed from all the insanity that's usually going on in that pathway.
Yeah, it's like an interesting way to design an area, but I mean, if you look here, there's like, 6 feet of space between this pathway and the main pathway around Frontierland. Yeah, that seems to be like all it takes. And I think in the real Disney World, the bushes are a little bit higher, but not much so. And yet it still sort of gives you this sort of distance, like you're saying, where it just sort of separates you and gives you this breathing room that I think a lot of people overlook. And I mean, despite the texture, like the wood of the actual place is like this really dark. It almost feels like a wet wood. I don't know. It kind of adds a lot to the theme of Tom Sawyer's Island, which is like right across the river.
Yeah, I mean, they have like there's like a little shack or something on there too that I guess is supposed to be like a fisherman's shack or something. But I mean, there's definitely, a lot more detail.
Yeah.
And it just adds to the whole thing.
For some reason, I have in my mind just forever linked this area that I knew the second you described it, even though there's no name for it. I knew what you're talking about. For some reason, I've always linked it with the giant turkey legs at Disney.
Because they sell them. They sell them like 5 feet away.
Yeah.
So like go to the other side of Frontierland when you're passing all the shops before you even hit Splash.
Yeah.
The thing is right there, and you can like get to the entrance once you pass it. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. The other one that doesn't so much is for some reason like I enjoy this spot the most during like dusk. Like towards the end of the day, it's a little cooler. I don't know why. I feel like it fits the theme a little bit better. I mean, I won't pass up the opportunity to walk it if we're going around that area any time of the day, but for some reason dusk seems like the perfect time of day. I guess it's also the perfect time where you kind of want a breather.
Yeah, true.
Okay, let's move on to my number 5. At Japan here, we have the Mitsukushi department store, which is like the pavilion's general store here in Epcot over in World Showcase. Now, I mentioned earlier that I was sort of cheating with this list, and you kind of hinted that this seemed like a weird pick on your end. Why would I pick a gift shop for my favorite place to rest? Here's the thing. I think because I'm a city person, I have a hard time resting like in the true sense of not doing anything. So my idea of resting at Disney is to do something that's a little less hectic than like running from ride to ride. So for me, I think my number 5 place to rest in Disney is to shop through this department store, which has like a bunch of awesome stuff and like a bunch of weird stuff from Japan, which is really cool. And I'd say, I don't know if statistically it's the largest gift shop in the World Showcase, but it certainly seems like it. It really
is pretty huge.
Yeah,
definitely.
It just starts off on the edge there and then comes all the way around here and wraps around. And I think just the variety of it, learning that it's called the department store is pretty aptly named because it just has so much different stuff. It's not just, your standard Disney souvenirs. You have a lot of Japanese specific souvenirs. You have a lot of Japanese candy. I like the back here, especially when I was younger, just to go in here and see all the weird, like an awesome Japanese candy that I had never seen before was awesome. And it's just a great place, I think, to take a break when you're going around World Showcase. And, you want to, I feel like a lot of the stores in these countries in World Showcase try to focus on the nicest of what they can offer from that nation. And I think the Japanese pavilion sort of mixes it up and throws a lot more fun merchandise in there. I remember going in and seeing a lot of Power Rangers stuff and just all these fun franchises from Japan that, you love as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you mentioned the whole candy section, and I think, I want to say it was with you that you bought one of the sodas with the marble.
Yeah, the marble sodas.
And I had never seen that before, ever. And I remember I was just sitting there with you, and I was like, what the heck is that? And it's just marble in a soda. I mean, I don't question
Made zero sense to me. I was really disappointed I didn't get to keep the marble.
Yeah, I do remember you trying to get it out. That did not work.
I feel like you're throwing away a perfectly good collectible opportunity there by putting marbles in and letting them keep it. Maybe you're supposed to just shatter the glass and take the marble, but I feel like that wouldn't be a very Disney thing.
Yeah, I feel like they would frown on that.
Yeah.
But I really do like this shop a lot. Like you said, there's so much variety. One of my favorite sections, obviously, is the little kimono section.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually separated, like the way they separate it off, it almost feels like its own little shop within a shop, which is kind of cool. And these are like the real deal. These are not, cheap knockoff kimonos. This is like, straight from Japan, beautiful pieces. They also have, just before you hit all the Power Ranger Pokemon stuff, they have like that whole weapons and samurai swords and like that whole
I do not
section.
recall this area, and now I need to go back to Disney again.
Clearly,
I was too taken by the Power Ranger section to notice the weapons.
Rob is too passive of a person to notice the weapons. They're right by where they open the pearls. You know how they do the whole pearl
that's right.
thing there? So it's on the other side of that, and they totally have like katanas and samurai swords, and a lot of them are just for show, but I think they're pretty good. Actually, it would be right here where it says breakable pretty things. I'm pretty sure that is the section.
It's actually named that in Disney too. That's not true.
But I agree. I mean, I would argue it's not really a resting place, but I can understand your explanation of it.
And one last thing I want to throw in about this place that I really enjoy is that, we kind of grew up during the Eisner era of Disney, and that's when Disney was sort of, I guess in a weird way, Disneyfied. And I've read so much about the old school Disney World where shops were themed a certain way and sold products very true to that theme, before they've been replaced to sell t-shirts and all the, arguably the same thing everywhere. And I think this Japanese department store sort of sticks to that theme a little bit where, you're not going to just find a Mickey Mouse t-shirt where Mickey's in Japan. I mean, maybe you could, but you're going to find all this authentic stuff that you're not going to find in any other department store. So let's move on to your number 4, which is also in the World Showcase, and it is
the gardens in the UK Pavilion. So some people actually don't know about these gardens, and I can kind of see why. You have to take the time to walk to the back of the pavilion behind the shop. I believe there is a door that actually leads out of the back of the shop. So that might be the easiest way to get there. But it is these beautiful gardens. I mean, they're pretty much designed to be a copy of the, British gardens that you find in London. And it's just so serene and quiet because of the fact that nobody really knows it's here. They also do shows. There's actually a stage to the very back. And there is a Beatles cover band. The name escapes me because, Epcot always has a variety of artists that always come back. There's a Beatles cover band that plays pretty regularly. You can find on the schedules they give out, and they're really good, actually. I've heard them from a far off distance, and for a second thought they were just like playing a Beatles record. So there's always that to enjoy as well if you want to just sit down and have something to do. But again, I just like the off the beaten path kind of feel here, which is prevalent in a lot of Epcot because it's so huge. They're just able to create all these little places that kind of get you away from the crowds.
Yeah, which is really nice because that main causeway around World Showcase is just so populated since it's the main way to get around. Finding this like little branch off is always nice. I was one of those people who for so many years didn't even know about it because we just like would walk right past the UK, or we would just go to those shops right at the front. We never really wandered back here. I think the band also does some monkey stuff. They just do like a whole bunch of like British pop, 60s era stuff. This isn't on my list, but since we're here in the UK, I will say one fun thing to do while resting is go over by the phones that are sadly no longer active, right? Those two public phones.
I think they shut them down. I want to say not even that long ago, maybe like 8 months ago, something like that.
See, they used to have phones there that had actual numbers that you could call from anywhere in the world. And I know we've called sometimes from New York, but yep. I would sometimes, this was, I think, maybe not the last trip, but the one before it, would stand like far away over here by the restaurant, and I would take out my cell phone, and I would call while people were like posing for photos, and just weird them out. Not in like a stalker way. I wouldn't be like, that's a great shirt you're wearing, or anything like that. It would just be like, how you like an Epcot? Because so many people just assume it's a prop that doesn't function, so they get completely thrown off when the phone starts ringing, and they don't know what to do. It was a lot of fun.
We definitely had that one time where we had that little kid who we kept telling him we were in New York. I think he thought he was listening to a recording or something, and then he kept going like, "Mom, there are people calling me from New York."
Yeah.
She must have thought he was crazy. But I don't really know why they took them down. I'm sure they had their reasons, but it makes me really sad.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to jump to my fourth one, which is also cheating. And it is not at a theme park. It is the hotel lobby. And of course, for me specifically, the hotel lobby I like to rest in is whatever hotel I'm staying at the time. Now, you may think that that's cheating again with this whole list, but I disagree. And for a couple of reasons. So for one, I think the first time you're resting at this lobby, at least for me when I was younger, was when you're checking in, right? And what better place to like rest than at the very beginning of your Disney trip. Like, that's when you get to sit down for a moment and sink in that you're finally at Disney World and you're going to spend however many days there and how awesome it is. And, I'm a fan of hotels in general just because, they're new and different, and especially with Disney with their amazing hotel theming, it's always a nice place to hang out. Especially, I think back to the All-Star resorts where they'd have the little kid area playing Disney movies. And even at like 25 when we were there, as a group, they would be playing Mickey cartoons at the Fort Wilderness, and rather than checking in like I should be, I'm watching cartoons like a kid. But let me also add one more thing to that. I also think it's a good resting place because personally, what I have worked into my Disney plans whenever I go on trips is I try to leave the parks in the afternoon to go rest at the hotel, and I just sort of combine those two. I like the lobbies. It is a place I actually seek out to rest, is the hotel, and so for that reason this is my number 4 place to rest. I don't know.
So I mean, I guess it's why it's cheating. It's only cheating because saying hotel lobby is this blanket term for every possible hotel lobby.
It is. But that's what's great about it, is that the properties of why the hotel lobby is great to rest at move from hotel to hotel. And it doesn't even have to be the hotel you're staying at. I can like go to the Grand Floridian and just chill in the lobby for a little bit and enjoy the way it's themed and the decorations and all of that,
Yeah. I mean, I will say, the last time I went, I took the time to hang out in the lobby of the Polynesian. And again, Rob knows that's my favorite hotel that I would love to stay at. And yeah, even that's just really fun. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the theming and everything. It's so relaxing. It really does feel like you're in Hawaii or on a Polynesian island.
Yeah.
Also, I like walking in there because they give you free lays. So
There you go.
apparently that's if you check in, but if you just walk in there, they'll totally throw you some free lays.
This is my favorite one because I love watching the monorail. Like I could eat here at the Contemporary every day just to sit there and watch the monorail come and go. It feels like a miniature city in here, which kind of, I think, lends itself to the whole concept of the Contemporary hotel. It's a little futuristic. So yeah, hotel lobby, generic hotel lobby is my number 4. Your number 3, though, is back in Epcot, and it is over in Morocco.
So we're actually starting a little ways towards the front, where you can see that they have this huge mural with all these beautiful tilings. If you walk through there, you'll come back, you'll see, the shops and all of that. They actually have a little museum as well about Moroccan history, which is really cool if you have the time to go in. But go past that, see this awesome wishing well fountain, also, covered in beautiful tiles and designs. And you go even further back and you start to hit this kind of back alleyway that's really out of the way. I think a lot of people don't realize it's here, except if you've ever eaten at the Morocco restaurant. It's called Marrakesh, which is actually the name of the biggest city in Morocco. So if you don't know about where the restaurant is or never really cared to have Moroccan food, you probably don't know that this area is back here. But I absolutely love it. I love the whole pavilion, but this area is especially beautiful because it really makes you feel like you're in the city. I actually had the experience of going to Morocco last year, and while I've loved this pavilion and this back area since before then, it is created an even greater sense of admiration of the theming, because I can tell you 100% it feels like Morocco. The last time I went back, I went for actually a really quick weekend to Disney 2 weeks after I came back from Morocco. And I went to the pavilion and was just overwhelmed by really how much it felt like I was back in Morocco. They actually had people from Morocco. I mean, they had people come in for all the pavilions from the different countries to, help in building it. But what's interesting is that the people who built this pavilion, so they believe in Morocco, that, obviously they believe in God, they believe in Allah, and they believe that Allah makes nothing perfect. The only thing that's perfect is Allah himself. And so when they build things, they purposely put cracks in it and little imperfections because they just believe that nothing but Allah is perfect. And they actually did that with Disney. Disney was actually going to build it, completely perfect. And they said, no, that's not how we would do it in Morocco. And so if you actually walk around, you'll see chips in the tile, you'll see cracks in the walls. And it's not because it's old and decrepit, it was actually because it was put there on purpose. And I just think that adds to how much authenticity there is in the theming of this pavilion.
Yeah, this was the pavilion where they actually flew in all Moroccan construction workers to work on it. I mean, the others had people consulting, but they insisted on having the actual construction crew being from Morocco. And this is actually the only pavilion that was fully sponsored by the government. Most of them, are sponsored by companies from within that country. But this is the one where the actual government was the one sponsoring it. So there's no doubt that, it's easy to tell why it is probably the most authentic of all the countries here in the World Showcase.
And I will also say, that also goes for their shops and everything. Everything that they carry in the shops is imported from Morocco, and I can tell you firsthand that it is exactly the same stuff you find in the shops there. So, it's definitely the closest thing you will ever get to going if you don't actually get to go to the country.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to say here. I haven't really been here in back here. I'm from New York. If I see something that looks like a back alley, I avoid it. And so my number 3 spot to rest in Walt Disney World, which I totally forgot until we finished recording, and hopefully, future Rob, you edited it in the right place, is here in the Hollywood Studios. It's by the Backlot Tour. It's by the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground set. It's by Lights, Motor, Action. It's like this big underground hangar area spot here where you can grab food, you can grab a drink. You know, you could sit down and relax while all the kids are running around in the playground. It's a good spot under here where I think you could catch some shade, because if I think about it, you know, this part of the Hollywood Studios doesn't have a lot of areas to get away from the heat necessarily. You're out in the open a lot. This was a weird pick for me, because I don't think there's any one thing about this that makes it one of my favorite places to rest. I think it's just the culmination of everything I just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those, like, nice, like we were saying before about some of the other places, it's kind of a good little, like, place when you're passing through. You're also not far from that, is it like a giant Coke bottle or whatever?
Oh yeah, that's right over here usually. Yeah.
So I mean, you've got that. If the hangar's not keeping you cool enough, you can definitely go
get sprayed by Coca-Cola.
That giant spraying Coke bottle.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if I remember correctly, one half is a food court, and the other side there's like actually a little shop.
Yeah, they've added a gift shop. A lot of Star Wars related stuff.
Yeah, so you know that you never get sick of that. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not a place that really stood out to me, but I can see what you mean. There's definitely a need for more places like this in you know, the park, because it's just so open otherwise. So yeah, it's one of those rare places you can kind of get under some shade, chill out.
Yeah, and I think lastly, what really does it for me is that, you know, the idea when the parks were open was that this was going to be a functioning studio, and it was to an extent, and then eventually it stopped and just sort of stayed a theme park. But I think areas like this are what sell the concept that you're in a studio. It adds to that immersion. I think also the commissary is one of those places that also adds to that. You know, it's not mainly the attractions that are doing it as much as these little bits that make it feel like you're walking around in a film studio somewhere, which I just assume they all look like this. I will continue to assume that forever. So yeah, here in Italy, there's this little. So I mean, Italy. Let me just point out one of my favorite places in World Showcase in general. I love the whole pavilion, everything about it, and then more so once Assassin's Creed 2 came out, and I just really enjoyed the place even more. But there's one specific area. So they have these Venetian gondolas out by the water, and to, I guess, sort of sell the idea of Venice, you know, they have this little island that you cross over on the bridge, because, you know, the gondolas are used in Venice through the streets. So it's not just like boats on the edges of the city, it's all throughout it too. And so there's this landmass here on the other side, this little island, and it's not really a hidden spot in the same way that like Morocco or the back of the UK Pavilion is. It's actually quite the opposite. If you're to head around here during like illuminations, it's pretty packed. But I think it's packed for a reason, and it's because it's just a great way to step aside from, again, that main walkway along World Showcase and to take a break. And, you know, I have memories of just, you know, we would go to Italy and grab a drink, and then I would just sit on the steps on the bridge here, or just over by the railing, and you get to look at the water. And we don't see it here in Minecraft because of the draw distance, but you have a fantastic view of Spaceship Earth. It's just like one of these really nice locations.
Yeah, I mean, you said earlier about Frontierland and how you felt like it was a perfect place at dusk, and I feel like this is that perfect place at dusk in Epcot.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and not only just because you're likely sitting there getting ready for fireworks, but it's just an absolutely gorgeous view of the lagoon. I mean, you have a great view walking around the World Showcase almost anywhere, but I feel like it's one of the best spots to kind of plant yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you had a great view in both directions. You turn around and you get to look into the Italian Pavilion, which I think is really great as well. And even though it isn't dead center, because that's where the American Adventure is, but it's right next to it, so it's still, you know, I feel like from your perspective while you're there, it feels like, you know, you get this great dead center view of, again, Spaceship Earth and the lagoon. So yeah, this is one of my favorite places to go when I'm at World Showcase and just take a quick break. Okay, and so next we're going to go to your number 2. It is not in World Showcase, so we're going to be mixing it up a little bit. It is over in the Magic Kingdom.
So my number 2
was a place I didn't even know existed until like right now.
And kind of semi-exists here, but is the Plaza Rose Garden in Magic Kingdom. It is immediately to the right of the castle before you cross the path into Tomorrowland. There's this gorgeous rose garden. You can actually walk down and into. It's definitely something I think I passed for the first few times that I was at Disney. But actually, the first time I really paid attention to it was in 2009, the first time I went for Mickey's Not So Scary. It was one of the spots where you can grab a wristband for the party. And when I actually went down there, I was like, oh, this is kind of amazing. It's like this nice little spot. I mean, beautiful, lush rose garden. You can sit right there and, see the castle. You can see across, you can see, the TTA, and everyone coming in from Main Street and just kind of relax, on the sidelines. Unfortunately,
it's gone forever.
Well, not yet, but it has come to my attention that they are revamping the hub.
Right.
And they're going to make some of the pathways a bit bigger. I guess it's probably to help with flow of traffic and all of that.
Yep.
But according to the new renderings that Disney put out, this is gone. So I don't know.
And MC Magic, as always, on top of it, they got rid of it. Gone.
So they say that it's going to be built by 2015, and if they get rid of this garden,
you'll be sad.
Then I guess the last time I was in it will be the last time I'll ever be in it, and that makes me very sad.
Oh, that's sad. I hate nature, on the other hand, and did not know this place existed until we came here to record. Okay, well, let's move on to the number 1, which we actually both had the same number 1, which is really cool. It is back in Epcot again. And it, unlike this place, still exists.
Wow.
So the number 1 place to rest for both me and Christine here in Walt Disney World is the Fountain of Nations over at Epcot in Future World. It is the giant fountain that you see when you come past Spaceship Earth. It's, settled right in between Innovations East and West. And it's, what you walk past when you want to go to the International Gateway and head on into the World Showcase. Christine, why is it your favorite place to rest?
So it's a combination of things. One is obviously the placement. You can see Spaceship Earth. You are kind of in the central area right before you're heading into the World Showcase. That in itself is really awesome. But it's also the kind of show that the fountain puts on with the music that they have playing. So they have, I don't know how many songs it is, probably around 7 or so, that they play, and the water actually dances to the music. And that never ceases to amaze me. I feel like I am, a little kid, just amazed as always how Disney can take like such a simple thing like a fountain and make it something actually entertaining and kind of awe-inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, I like the story behind it. Like, the idea that all of the nations involved in World Showcase have a little bit of their water sent over and put into the fountain. I like the fact that it's so close to Mouse Gears, which is like, for some reason, my favorite place to shop. I think
it's a pretty great store.
It's a big store. It's by the Electric Umbrella. May it rest in peace. It's just like a hub of all these great things I enjoy. I enjoy Spaceship Earth. I think it's a great place to, the people watch, because so many people are filtering through, whether they're going over towards Mission Space or towards Soarin' or towards, the World Showcase. It's just, almost like it's Epcot's hub, even though Epcot doesn't technically have a hub.
And on that, it's also a great meeting point. I've definitely had times where everyone's been separated, and it's like, well, just meet me by the fountain, and you'll definitely find each other. So
yeah. And fun Rob fact: up until I was a young lad, I used to, for some reason, refer to this place as Mickey's Shower. I don't know
What?
why. Yeah, this is what my parents have told me. And then they later told me that I actually refer to any public fountain as Mickey's Shower later on. So I think this is like Mickey Shower Prime, and then every fountain hereafter is...
Really bizarre about Mickey's Shower being in places out in the open public.
It makes perfect sense. Mickey lives in Disney World. You would shower in something this majestic, wouldn't you? If I owned a fountain like this would be my shower. Clearly, this is Mickey's Shower. So there you have it. The top 5 places to rest in Walt Disney World. Those are just Christine and my top 5 places. What are your top 5 places? I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments. And again, this was a topic that we did on the suggestion of a subscriber. So if you have a suggestion for a top 5 list that you'd like to see done, feel free to leave that in the comments below. Now, myself, I do a lot of video game videos. If you want to see more Minecraft, it's all here on this channel. Survival, creative, mini games. I also have another channel called Rob Plays Those Games, where I get to do everything that's not Minecraft. So if you want to break from Minecraft, that's the place to go. Christine's got her own stuff going on the internet, which she's going to talk about right now.
So I actually run a fashion blog with a partner called twogirlsoneoutfit.com, and we cover, everything from how to create that perfect outfit to cool fashion events going on in New York City. All 2 Girls, 1 Outfit on Twitter. If you want to find me personally on Twitter, that's fine. It's Big Bruin Evil, BIGBREWINEVIL. And if someone can tell me what that's a reference to, you will win 1,000,000 points.
1,000,000 points. That's a lot on the line. Again, thank you for joining me. I think everybody watching loves it. I certainly love doing this. So this is not the last top 5 for sure. So until then, I will see you. Have a great week, everybody. You can say bye.
Bye.
Also, okay, now...